Alright, we're going to be talking about my Blu-Ray collection today. You have to bear with me because there's a decent amount of movies, and I'm in a very interesting position. I'm sitting in between my shelf and my side drawer, so I can kind of get some silence from my fan over there. The walls are thin here, okay? I don't want people to think I'm insane talking about movies to myself. So without further ado, I guess we'll just hop right into it. Hangover Part 3. Hangover Part 2. The first Hangover. I used to like these movies, but now as I get older, I find these less and less funny each time I watch them. I was just with my friends the other day, and I just couldn't laugh. I wasn't laughing at any of the jokes. Three Stooges, kind of an underrated movie in my opinion. I've never really seen people talk about this as a remake of the original show, and I don't know, I quite enjoyed it. Waiting. This is a fantastically made movie. Fantastic movie from like the mid-2000s with a good cast. This is probably my favorite Ryan Reynolds movie, and it just teaches you to respect the people you're eating. You know, if you're at a restaurant, be nice. Skin Deep. I love John Ritter. It's a good movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Sex Drive. This is a raunchy mid-2000s comedy that I've seen it probably too many times. Get Him to the Greek. First time I saw this, I don't really know what I thought of it, to be honest. I saw it again and I liked it a little bit more. Not the best sequel. I think Forgetting Sarah Marshall's still a lot better. Marley and Me. If you have a girlfriend, you have to have a movie like this. Night at the Museum 3. Night at the Museum 1 and 2. I like these ones a lot more than the third one. The third one's just not that great. They're just decent escapism from reality. They're not fantastic movies by any means. Dream Team. This is a Michael Keaton comedy. Everybody seems to forget it when they're talking about their favorite Michael Keaton movies. This is one of mine. It's got a good cast. This is Riddick. This is the third one. Chronicles of Riddick. This is my friend's steelbook, and he's just like, you know what, just keep it. It's that bad. He's like, just keep it. Walking Tall. You know what? Not a bad rock movie. I'm not a big fan of too many of his movies. I like him more as a wrestler, but this is a pretty good rock movie for what it's worth. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. I never got all the way through this. I fell asleep, so I'm gonna have to try and rewatch that one at some point. Extract. This is a good Mike Judge movie. I've kind of warmed up to Mike Judge as I've gotten older. I just watched Office Space for the first time and Idiocracy, so I'm opening up. I like Extract, though. 50-50. This is another just kind of underrated. I'm not going to use that word too many times, I promise. But I really like this movie. Joseph Gordon-Levitt's always an interesting actor, in my opinion. The Burbs with Tom Hanks. It's a must-watch, especially if you like Joe Dante. The Love Guru. I'm angry that I own it. Land of the Lost. This is another it's not good. I'm not going to sit here and tell you this is good. I'm pretty sure this movie completely and utterly flopped too, but I get so much pleasure out of this for some reason. I grew up watching it. That probably has a lot to do with it. Michael Cera in, Youth in Revolt. I want to have a side personality named Francois that does evil things for me. There's a Green Hornet. I'm probably not going to keep this movie much longer. There's a couple movies that I just showed that I'm probably not... Get that out of here. That I'm probably not going to keep much longer. I'm getting these out of the way. These are my lesser movies that I don't really... and I have more over there that I straight up I'm not willing to talk about because they're just not good. This Is the End. I probably watched that for the last time. I'm not really interested in rewatching it. Observe and Report. Need a new case for this. This is probably my favorite Seth Rogen movie. Ray Liotta's really good in it. I'd say check it out if you've never seen it. The Other Guys. You know, I want to be Gator. I want to wear a grill, and I want to be a pimp. Ted. I like the first one. I'm not sure I'm ever probably gonna buy the second one, especially if I can't find it for cheap. Every time I find it somewhere, it's way too expensive. So I'm not spending more than like $4 on Ted 2. It's not a priority. Godzilla 2014. I probably have to rewatch this to remember the whole thing. I don't like that Bryan Cranston died so early in it, so I've never really had interest in rewatching it. Poltergeist, the first one. I really love this. This is a movie that didn't need to be remade. Stir of Echoes. If you haven't checked this one out, I don't care how you find a way, but go find it. I'm gonna have to buy another copy because the version I bought has a pretty shitty, damaged. I just got that not that long ago. But Stir of Echoes is a good Kevin Bacon movie for sure. Joyride, probably my favorite Paul Walker movie. Aside from Fast and Furious, but this is it's like a dark and seedy, kind of freaky movie that, again, didn't need sequels or anything. I don't know why I own this. Colony. I honestly don't know why this is on. It's meant to be with the other movies over there. This movie's terrible. I couldn't get through it. Hostel and Hostel 2. This is one of the worst Blu-ray transfers I have ever seen in my life. And it's not good. And this is new. I think it's 2020 or 2021, 2019. Yeah, I don't know. Good horror movies, but the transfer wasn't very good. Christine. I love this. This is maybe my favorite John Carpenter movie. It depends on my mood. It's either this or Big Trouble in Little China. 7. With Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt. You gotta love the, this is the, what's it called? I always forget, the import. So this is the one from the UK, and it works, but it looks, I just love that slipcover. Saw 2. The first Saw. I like the first 2 Saws, but then after that it kind of gets a little ridiculous. American Psycho. I have to return some videotapes. Zombieland. I don't know why they made a second Zombieland, and they waited 10 years, I think, to make a second one. I have never seen the second one. I just don't care. The clips I've seen from it, it baffles me that they even made that movie. Lord of War. I want to have a brother named Vitaly that helps me arms deal, and that goes to rehab. I love Nicolas Cage movies. It's a really good one. Enemy of the State. I've never seen this. There's a couple movies that I'm going to say that to here because I just bought a bunch of new movies, and I'd say there's maybe 10 here that I bought that I've never seen because I just couldn't find them anywhere on streaming. And I figured I'd like this because Gene Hackman's in it, so. Apollo 13. It's got such a great cast. This is when Ron Howard made good movies. Now he makes kind of sterile and boring movies that, like Solo. Bleh. Mission Impossible Fallout. It says previously viewed, but the disc and everything looks brand new, so I don't know. I don't really know what's going on there with that. Mission Impossible 1 to 5. This thing's kind of falling apart. I'm gonna have to probably. It looks like someone came all over it too. I can promise you, I don't like Mission Impossible that much, but I'm guessing some sort of sunscreen or cream bottle of some kind blew up. I don't know how or why, but there's that. Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow. I don't know. Everybody likes this movie, and I just can't seem to get into it. Crank 1 and 2. I really like the first Crank, and every time I try to rewatch the second one, I like it less, so I'm just gonna stick with the first one there. Transporter 3. Transporter 2. And Transporter. Those are movies I grew up watching. I am not really a fan anymore. I couldn't tell you the last time I watched them. Troy. It's one of the best epic time periods of the last 20 years, easily. Eric Bana and Brad Pitt's fight. Hector! Love it. Love it. Poltergeist 2 and 3. I hate the second Poltergeist, but I absolutely love the third one. Like, it's one of those movies that there's so many things that happen behind the scenes during that movie. You can read about it, but I don't know. There's a vibe to it that I really enjoy. Friday the 13th, the remake. You know what? This is in my top 3. I'm gonna do a Friday the 13th ranking. This is in my top 3. I'm pretty sure, maybe 4. But it's a pretty good remake, all things considered, for a horror movie. Halloween 2, Rob Zombie. It's not great. Rob Zombie's Halloween. I don't own John Carpenter's. I can't seem to find it anywhere, and everywhere that it, is available, it's like $50, and I'm not spending that much on Halloween. If you haven't seen The Fly, go watch this. It's gonna make you anxious and neurotic, and I already have anxiety, so when I watch this, it makes me think my fingernails are gonna fall off. The Exorcist. I couldn't sleep for like 4 days after I watched this when I was about 10, 11 years old. My dad was, you won't watch it. He kept daring me, and you know what? I punished myself. There was nobody else that was punished with that. Probably them too, because I kept them up at night. Aliens, one of my favorite action movies of the 1980s. James Cameron, the guy never missed. My back is... I'm going to knock these over, but my back is literally screaming. Maybe I should just lean back for a minute. So Aliens, my favorite action movies. Alien, one of the best horror movies ever made. I just refuse to own the third or fourth. I thought about buying Prometheus when I was at the store yesterday, but I don't really need it. It's not really necessary for my life. Jaws. I went through a phase in high school. I took film class where I watched this probably once a week for like 6 months. So Jaws is one of those movies I've just seen endlessly. Kong Skull Island. Someone bought this for me for Christmas when I was 15 or 16. It's 4K. I don't collect 4Ks. I don't have a 4K player. I don't really care about 4K. I'm a Blu-ray guy. King Kong from 2005, 5. Peter Jackson. This is right after he made Lord of the Rings, and then he made that. I love the second half of it. First half, not so much. Child's Play 2. It depends on how I'm feeling. I watched this last Halloween, and I love it still. But, I still think I prefer the first one. I'm going to have to get the other ones at some point, but really the essential ones for a collection are the first 2 Child's Play movies. That's all you really need. The Nightmare on Elm Street collection. I'm split on these movies. Like, I had never seen part 6. I just watched that for the first time around Halloween. And now I've seen all of them. And I'd seen 1 and 2 and 3 about 50 times each. I just went through this phase when I was a teenager where I just couldn't stop watching the first 3. So I like some of them, but not crazy about a few of those. This is one of the worst remakes ever. I keep this to remind myself how bad films can get. This one of the worst remakes ever, one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And then this gets everything right in my view. Gives me everything I ever needed from a Freddy vs. Jason movie. The Evil Dead remake. It's so much better than Evil Dead Rise, and this is probably my favorite Evil Dead movie. You can hate me all you want. I don't really love Evil Dead 1 or 2, the originals. I'm not going to lie to you. I do like Army of Darkness, though, because it gets the tone right for me. It's exactly what I want from an Evil Dead movie, of the original. Then the remake's like a dark, seedy, scary version. I love it. I love it so much. Gremlins 2, The New Batch. I've probably seen this more than the first one in my life. The first Gremlins. It's a great movie, don't get me wrong, but the second one, being so self-aware, is perfect. It seems like the first movie is a little too serious for the concept. Ghostbusters 2. This movie gets way too much hate. Ghostbusters 1984. It's one of the best comedies ever. It's aged so well. From Dusk Till Dawn. The first 30 minutes of this movie are fantastic in its own right, and in the last hour or hour and 10 minutes, however long the whole vampire part of it is, I love it. The tonal shift is something you don't see very often in a movie. Beetlejuice. I'm so upset they're making a sequel to this. There's absolutely no need for it at all. Predator 2, one of my favorite sequels of the I think it's 1990s. Action sequels for sure. I did not expect it to be that good. Predator, first one with Arnold, classic. Get to the chopper! Pet Sematary, this is the original. This movie's dark, disgusting. The ending is gross. Everything about this movie is gross, and I just love it. I love it for it. 28 Days Later, another zombie movie that I don't hear too many people talk about anymore. This was popular as the talk of the town when I was a kid, and everybody loved this in the sequel, and then it just kind of faded in obscurity, and nobody ever talks about it anymore. Alright, we've got It from 2016. It's a decent remake. We've got It, the original miniseries, It, with Tim Curry. I think he's a creepier clown, to be honest. It Chapter 2. You can see I like the It movies, or I did at one point. Hair somewhere attached to this. The Thing. You know, this is almost everybody's favorite John Carpenter movie that I talk to, and I've only seen this once. I feel like a letdown, but I can just never get through it. I can never rewatch it for some reason. I don't know what it is. It's not a bad movie. It's just not my favorite. Guilty Pleasure. I remember my dad made me watch this as a kid because he really liked it, and you know what? I like it too. Teen Wolf. One of Michael J. Fox's best. I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains in. The Shining. Probably my favorite horror movie of all time. Carrie. I love Carrie. Brian De Palma sure knows how to make a movie. God, I am struggling right now with all these words. The Lost Boys. All right, I'm back, and I'm going to be talking about this particular section of movies. Now we're kind of onto the comedies. I don't know, particularly. I think we got the more bottom of my shelves out of the way. Now we're going to get into this top part down in the middle. So we got Talladega Nights, Step Brothers, Dodgeball. I'm going to try to move somewhat fast, because if I start saying things about every single movie, we're going to be here for a long time. Knocked Up. I used to love Seth Rogen movies, but I've gotten to the point where I can't really stand the guy, if I'm being honest. Pineapple Express. It's one of the movies I could tolerate with him in it. Superbad. One of my favorite comedies ever made. Seth Rogen did really well here, but he's barely in the movie, so it works better as he's just a writer. 22 and 21 Jump Street. I like the first one more, but the second one's a pretty decent sequel, all things considered. Tropic Thunder. You make me happy. Clerks 2 and Zack and Miri make a porno. Clerks. I love Clerks and Clerks 2. That's for sure. And Zack and Miri's whatever. It's a decent comedy. Groundhog Day. Beverly Hills Cop. It's when Eddie Murphy actually made good movies. It's been a while since that was a thing. Space Jam. I don't know why they made a sequel to that one. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It's one of the best coming-of-age movies of all time. Sean Penn gives one of the best performances of the 1980s. I'm just kidding. But really, he's really good in this movie. Memorable. The whole cast is memorable. The Phoebe Cates scene gets talked about, and it will forever be talked about. Mrs. Doubtfire. It's a very creepy movie, but also hilarious. There's a lot of scenes in this movie that will forever be memorable. Was it run by Fruiting? Jumanji. It's another Robin Williams movie that I've just watched a million times in my life. I could just watch it over and over again. The Goonies. Timeless. I think every kid should watch The Goonies. It'll make you want to play outside, not on your phone. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Frank Oz has made some pretty good movies. All things considered, he's made some pretty decent ones. Spaceballs. It depends on if you like Star Wars on like a extreme level or not. If you do, you'll like this. If you don't care for Star Wars, you just won't care about Spaceballs. Forgetting Sarah Marshall, we talked about the other one, the sequel, earlier. Like that one more. Paul, it's a good movie. It's another one where Seth Rogen's kind of tolerable for once. The World's End, I Want to Be Gary King. Hot Fuzz, one of my favorite action comedies of ever. This is Timothy Dalton, so good in everything I've seen him in. Shaun of the Dead. Depends on my mood. I go between this or Hot Fuzz for what my favorite of the Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy is, but it's usually Hot Fuzz. Truman Show. This just makes you question life. When you see this movie, you start questioning everything around you. Liar, Liar. I want Jim Carrey in this movie as my lawyer. You won't win anything, but you'll have a good time. Dumb and Dumber. It's another movie that they made a sequel 20 years too late. Don't really know what the point was. They didn't even need a sequel to begin with, but that late was just idiotic. The Mask. I watched this movie religiously as a kid. Tried rewatching it about a year ago, and I just wasn't laughing, so maybe I just was having a bad day. I don't know. But Me, Myself, and Irene and Shallow Hal. I think anybody in the world who likes movies should watch Me, Myself, and Irene at least once. You'll all agree with how he feels about life. So we've got Madagascar 1, 2, and 3. The first one's probably my favorite. I don't know, they're not really my favorite. My girlfriend just kind of wanted to watch them because Mort was in them, and, so I don't mind them, though. I don't mind growing my animated movie section. I don't really have that many, so when I have an excuse to buy a couple, like Kung Fu Panda, probably not going to watch this very much, but I saw it for like $3 or $4, and I was like, you know what? And same with Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I actually like this movie, though. Kung Fu Panda, it's not that I don't like it, I just only seen it a couple times. I've seen Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs a lot. Wreck-It Ralph. Oh, I love this movie. This came out just at the right time for me. I think I was 11. So this was just like a beautiful escape into, this virtual world. And I love video games, so it's, yeah. Incredibles. I need a better Incredibles Blu-ray. I don't really like this cover, I'm not gonna lie. But Incredibles is probably my favorite Pixar movie. Not probably, it is. And it's definitely my favorite animated movie, and it's in my top 15 movies of all time. Monsters, Inc. It's tough. That might be second for, my favorite Pixar. It just depends on what mood I'm in. Monsters University, a damn worthy sequel. You can't say that very often for, an animated movie. Cars. You see, this is the only Cars I own. I'm never going to own 2 or 3. I like the first one, though. Ratatouille. I'm going to have to rewatch this. I haven't seen this since I was a kid, but this is something I needed to own to feel better about myself and what I'm doing. Finding Nemo. And I don't love slipcovers, but this slipcover is just beautiful. And I love this movie. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Toy Story 1, 2, and 3. First one is probably my favorite. Let's pull all 3 of them out. I love these covers. This is the UK, same thing as the 7. These were way cheaper than buying them from the American or Canadian websites. It's like $30 for all 3 of them. If you want to get one of these in Canada, it's $20. So it wasn't really an option. It was, I'm doing this. Put that cookie down. One of my favorite Christmas movies. Watched this just a couple days ago before Christmas. I did not watch A Christmas Story this year. I needed a break. It's been maybe 2 years now since I've seen A Christmas Story, and I kind of like it that way. It was overplayed for me as a kid, so I just need a bit of a mental break. Christmas Vacation. This is the only copy of this movie I've seen. Somebody must have bought the Incredible Hulk Blu-ray and put this in the green case, because I've never seen another one like this. I love Christmas Vacation, though. Home Alone 2. I found this at the thrift store, brand new, sealed. So I got this for $1. I don't know who was giving this away for $1, but they're crazy. And we got Home Alone 1 right there. I think I prefer the second one, to be honest with you. First one's obviously the better movie, but I've always just enjoyed the second one just a little bit more. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. There was a couple times in high school where I definitely took the day off, and I'm gonna blame this movie for it. I got my ideas from Ferris. Sorry, parents. Weird Science. The amount of times I rewatched this movie, I can't even count. And my friend and I tried to make our own doll when we were 11 or 12, or our own human out of a doll. Didn't go well. Great Outdoors. Yeah. I just love Dan Aykroyd and John Candy. This is my John Candy section. I have a few movies here. Uncle Buck. This is one of my favorite movies as a kid. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is my favorite John Hughes movie, my favorite John Candy movie. And it's more than just a comedy. You can watch this every time, any time of the year with anybody, and you'll probably end up crying. Tommy Boy. It's basically the knockoff version of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. The Austin Powers trilogy. My favorite was always the second one. I do like the first one, and the third one's kind of just there, I'll be honest. Third one as a kid I liked, so I knew rewatching these, if I liked it the most as a kid, it's probably not going to be my favorite as an adult, and I was right. Didn't age very well. Weekend at Bernie's. If I'm ever having a bad day, I usually just put this on. It's so hilarious. Everything they do in this movie makes me laugh, and I just want to work in New York City. I really do. Dazed and Confused. If you ever just want a good sit down, and hang out movie, this is the best one to watch ever. This is just so relaxing. I always have such a good time when I watch this, and I just love watching Ben Affleck beat children. Well, not actually, but you know what I'm saying. He seems to enjoy it a little bit too much, don't you think? He's too good at it. His kids are probably in trouble in real life. Big Lebowski. Something's up with this case. I don't know. It close properly? Yeah, it does. I'm the dude. Yes, I love this. This is great. John Goodman gives one of the best performances ever as Walter in this movie. Him and his Vietnam stories. It's never ending, and it's too funny. Steve Buscemi's barely does anything in this movie, but that's what makes it hilarious, I guess. Fargo. Oh, I could watch Fargo any day of the week, any day, month, week, year. This is basically a perfect movie. Perfectly casted, everything. All the acting's fantastic. Raising Arizona. Oh. This brings me to a happy place. Let's pull all these over here. We Were Soldiers. I've never been in war, but this is about as accurate as I think a war movie can get. There's some stuff in this movie that straight up had me feeling sick. Like, having to turn away from the movie type sick. The Patriot. Mel Gibson, he never seems to miss when it comes to these big epics, does he? And Heath Ledger gives such a great performance in this movie. This is, it's top-notch stuff. Roland Emmerich, you can hate him all you want, but he's got some good stuff, action-wise. The stories are never that great, but it's not what you're watching his movies for. Freedom. Braveheart, Mel Gibson, again. I just love Mel Gibson movies. I missed out when I was a kid. I never really watched a lot of his films, I'll be honest, but as I get older, Gladiator, and yes, I am entertained, Russell Crowe. I'm very entertained. They just don't make them like this anymore, do they? Gladiator sequel's gonna suck, by the way. It's gonna be terrible. You can just confirm that before it even comes out. Forrest Gump. I've seen a lot of people say this is their favorite movie, and I can understand why. Because it's 6 movies in one. 5-6 movies in one. He lives so many different lives, and there's some people that are like that. You talk to them, and it's like, how did you do all that in one life, man? It's crazy. Saving Private Ryan. Another war movie that, people had to walk out of that fought in World War II and other wars, and it's too intense. That movie, it's so good. Lone Survivor with Mark Wahlberg. It's another one. It's a really hard to watch movie, but in the end, you know, it makes you appreciate life just a little bit more. And again, cool steelbook, so I just kind of had to get that. Fury with Brad Pitt and the whole assortment of other people in this cast, including Shia LaBeouf, who I think gives a pretty damn good performance. E.T. Boom. Love some E.T. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. People don't seem to mention this one too much anymore. I love it. You know, I love alien stuff, so this is just right up my alley. That whole last 30 minutes is just pure amazement. I do love these covers that they used to have on these movies. Waterworld. I could watch this movie right now and have a good time. Dennis Hopper is so good in it. Alexander, the revisited edition. This is the final cut. Everybody hates this movie except for me. I fucking love this movie. I've seen it 3 or 4 times in its entirety, and it's like 3.5 hours. I love it. I love this movie. The Fifth Element, the Lou Dallas Multipass. I probably need to upgrade to the other Blu-ray. I don't know why I bought the original edition from 2007, but I kind of just like this cover, you know? It's a good action movie for sure. And I felt a lot of George Lucas ripping that off for his prequel movies. And I don't know if anybody else feels that, but I certainly do. This is Sparta. You have to see this. This is when Zack Snyder can actually make a good movie. I don't know what happened, but the guy lost all credibility. Big Trouble in Little China, my favorite John Carpenter movie. Donnie Brasco. Is there an Al Pacino movie that he's not good in besides Jack and Jill? Because he just seems to give great performance after great performance. All the guy does. Drive. It's a great movie. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I could show the other side, but I just prefer this side. Oh, I just love this movie. I've said that a lot. I love this movie. Well, I do. Hateful Eight. Oh, it depends on the day. It's between this or Pulp Fiction, my favorite Tarantino movie. Django Unchained. I did like this, but the more I watch it, I just don't care about it. I'm going to be honest. I do think DiCaprio is pretty damn good in it, though. Christoph Waltz is as well. Inglourious Bastards. Probably my least favorite Tarantino movie. I just don't care for it, I'll be honest. None of it connects properly for me, and I just don't care for the characters at all. It's between that or, what's the other one? Yeah, Death Proof. Not crazy about Death Proof. I like Planet Terror, but Death Proof is kind of a miss for me. And Planet Terror was made by Robert Rodriguez. Kill Bill 1 and Kill Bill 2. I'm going to edit both of these together at some point, because this should just be one big movie. I don't understand why he split them into 2. Maybe the studios forced him. I don't really know the story behind that, but it's one movie. Just split into 2 parts. Alright, I'm going to have odd jump cuts every here and there so I can kind of just move some stuff around and stretch my back out and stuff, because the way I'm sitting, it's painful. I'm not going to lie to you. So, finish off the Tarantino stuff. You've got Reservoir Dogs. I just rewatched this for like the 50th time last week. I still love Reservoir Dogs. Mr. Blonde. Gotta love Michael Madsen in that movie. True Romance. He didn't direct this movie, but he wrote it, and Tony Scott directs it so good. Tony Scott, so hit or miss, though. Some of his movies hold up so well, and some of them are just so bad. Like, and this is one of them that I love. And Pulp Fiction. I don't really know what you want to call this version of Pulp Fiction, but I'm so glad I own it. I think this is at Walmart that I got this a long time ago. When Walmart actually had Blu-rays and stuff. That doesn't happen anymore. So now we're getting into my superhero stuff, and I don't really collect superhero stuff anymore. You know, there's still some that if I see that I need from the past, like the original Batman movies, I don't own. I still need those, but for the most part, not gonna go out of my way to buy any more superhero shit. We've got Iron Man 1. The best Iron Man for sure. It's not even a competition. The last blockbuster movie I ever bought. And this is the first Blu-ray I've ever owned, actually. So that's, you know, gotta love that. Keeping that sticker forever. Iron Man 3. Just a terrible sequel. Just terrible. We got Hulk, the Ang Lee version, so that's the 2003. It gets way too much hate. It's not a great movie, but it gets absolutely abused by people, and I don't really get the hate. Incredible Hulk 2008. This is, yeah, you know what? I like it. Blade. This is Blade Trinity. Blade 2. I'm gonna have to rewatch the second one. I don't really remember Blade 2. First Blade is definitely the best, and I rewatch this once every here and there. I probably watched it 6 months ago or something when I was sick. Maybe a year ago now when I was sick. It's one of those movies when you're like sick and you're just kind of like, I need to feel better. You put on Wesley Snipes movies. Daredevil. Yeah, well, I like Daredevil, but I can never explain myself enough to people as to why. They just look at me like... It's not a bad movie, though. I mean, it's not great, but... forget the top part of this, but we've got Hellboy and Ghost Rider, which is... Yeah, I like Nicolas Cage, so I can put up with a bad Nicolas Cage movie now and again. Hellboy 2, The Golden Army. I do like the Hellboy movies. I'm honestly glad we never got a third one, because you just know they would have somehow ruined it. Yeah, let's try and get this. They always do. When they have something good going, they always ruin it, don't they? The Punisher with Thomas Jane. I expected nothing when I went in to watch this, and I came out pretty happy. John Travolta just knows how to chew up the scenery. It's too bad I don't have Broken Arrow. That's another movie he chews up the scenery really well in. Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. I owned the first one for about a decade, and only recently bought the second one because I found it for like $4. Like, well, you know, I don't really want it, but I know it's a guilty pleasure. The Spider-Man trilogy. Probably going to keep this version of it because this comes with the Spider-Man 2 extended and all that stuff. I'm not a big fan of the paper way that it's, but, you know, my buddy's got the 2007 version. Doesn't have any of the extended, so I'd just rather keep that and have my extended cut. Very odd trilogy here. It's not even really that connected. We've got Unbreakable, such a great movie. Split, which I think is even better. Somehow this did better. And Glass, which was kind of a letdown, I'll be honest. Kind of felt empty after watching this, but it wasn't as bad. I just watched this for the first time probably a week ago. I waited years because I'd heard so many negative things that I just wanted people's opinions of the hype to kind of die down. And yeah, it wasn't great. Sin City, still need the sequel, but I like that movie. Flash Gordon with Timothy Dalton in there. Clash of the Titans. Man, like, this is nostalgia 101. I'm so glad I found this because I for years thought it wasn't on Blu-ray, and when I found it, I was pretty ecstatic. Star Trek 2009 and Into Darkness. I still don't own Star Trek Beyond. It's not really a priority of mine to own Star Trek Beyond. Okay, so we've got Transformers 2007, which I still watch annually, I'd say. Revenge of the Fallen, just a horrible sequel. Dark of the Moon, honestly not bad. I still watch it every here and there and have a good time. Leonard Nimoy's pretty good in it. And Age of Extinction is my cutoff. This is where I stopped collecting. I had the 5th one in my hands the other day, and it rung up at Walmart for $8, and I went, do I need to spend $8 on this? No. No, I do not. Will I ever watch Transformers 5 again? No. No, I will not. Men in Black 1. Definitely the best Men in Black. Men in Black 2 gets so much hate. I don't really know why. It's not that much worse than the first. Not great, but Men in Black 3. This is the worst one for me. Like, it's not a bad movie, but it feels like a fan fiction. Like, the whole ending just feels like something you'd read on Reddit at 3 in the morning. Alright, and now I'm back. We've got some more superhero stuff to deal with. I thought I crushed it all, but I guess most of my shelf is still left. Superman Returns. Not a very good movie. Superman the movie. I watch this at least once every couple of years to remind myself this is what superhero movies used to be. Big, grandiose, epic movies. Joker. I don't know why I own this. I don't care for it. I think that was in my phase of trying to collect all these superhero movies. Dark Knight Rises. The Dark Knight. You know, Heath Ledger's great. He always is. Batman Begins. I love this cover. Like, I'm not a huge Batman Begins fan, but my goodness, this cover is so fucking awesome. Justice League. This is the Justice League, because this is the Joss Whedon version, and wow, it's bad. I don't really know why I own it. Wonder Woman. Another movie I don't really know why I own. Second. This thing keeps falling down. This thing that's supporting this. I think I got that for Christmas when I was in high school. Same with this. I wouldn't buy this. Batman v Superman. Pretty sure I did buy this. I went through a phase where I did like Man of Steel. I don't anymore. None of those DC movies resonate with me at all. Deadpool. I just don't find Ryan Reynolds funny. I really don't. I've really tried. And I just can't. I won't even buy Deadpool 2. I can't do it. I simply cannot. Logan. So this movie did mean something, but now it means nothing because he's coming back. So that's a damn shame. The Wolverine. I'd say about 70% of this movie is good, and there's 30% of it that I don't know what they were thinking. But X-Men Origins Wolverine. Never seen the movie hated on so heavily. I mean, there's a lot of problems with this movie, but I just love big, dumb, stupid comic book movies that know what they are. And that's exactly what that is. X-Men Apocalypse. This is the opposite. This movie thought it was something special. The only thing good about this is the gray case that it comes in. This movie sucks ass. Days of Future Past. This is what gave us all hope. This is what gave every single human hope that X-Men was going to go somewhere. We've got X-Men 1 to 4. Yeah, because I've got the trilogy and then First Class. See McAvoy there. I love the first two in First Class. Third one, not so much. I do not like Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Endgame. Not a big fan. Infinity War is like a good background. I remember being at a party in high school and just putting this on, and everybody started watching because it's good eye candy. You know, you get to watch a lot of explosions and stuff. Second Avengers, not really, doesn't hold up very well upon rewatch. The first Avengers is still great. It's a prime example of how to make a blockbuster. Ant-Man. It was a good small-scale Marvel movie, and then they went and completely ruined it with the second and third one. I'm not even watching the third one, but the second one was bad enough. That was basically just Wasp and Ant-Man. He was barely even in it and did nothing. He was irrelevant. Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. I got about 5 minutes into the third one, and I came to the conclusion that I don't care. I just don't care anymore. Not that it's bad, I'm sure it's a fine movie, I just don't care. I'm past that point in my life. Thor, the first one. Not a bad one, one of the worst. I remember when this was considered the worst Marvel movie in the MCU. I'm sure now if you did a ranking, this would probably land somewhere in the middle to high range because of how bad the last 3 or 4 years of movies have been. Thor Ragnarok. Again, this is like a movie that gave us all hope that, oh my, the MCU knows exactly what they're doing. Movies are peaking and getting better as they go along. And that just didn't last long at all. We've got the first Captain America. The second Captain America that I think is kind of a little overrated. Even I went through a phase where I was like, it's one of the best action spy thrillers, and I'd only seen about 12 movies in my life when I said that. So, I mean, the more you watch movies, the more you realize these movies are fine, but you know, Martin Scorsese was right. All these superhero movies are just theme park rides. They're not. And Civil War is the prime example of that. Such a boring ass, dull movie with empty action. Alright, so we're moving on. Shutter Island. Gotta love me some Scorsese. Departed. I've rewatched this 15 times in the last year. Casino. Nicky Santoro, one of my favorite movie characters ever. He is batshit insane. Yeah, Goodfellas. I think everything that needs to be said has been said about this movie. You look like a gangster. Taxi Driver, my favorite Scorsese movie, and if you try to make this now, you'd be lynched and killed by everybody in your neighborhood. I guess lynched and killed, same thing, but whatever. Heat, Michael Mann, he remade his own movie with this, and oh my goodness, Al Pacino, over the top, but still great, and De Niro is always great, and Val Kilmer, same thing. Oh, Carlito's Way. What a fantastic... Sean Penn is such a douchebag in this movie. He usually plays a douchebag very well. That's something... And so it makes you wonder, Sean Penn is probably a dick in real life. Carlito's Way. It's a great movie. Brian De Palma, again, with Scarface. Her baby's a load of... Her mom's up a load of mash, can't make a baby. I could watch this right now. I might actually watch this after. This is the gold edition. But holy shit, like, this movie, timeless and inspired generations of movies that followed. Apocalypto, another Mel Gibson fantastic film. It's a weird thing. I love this movie, but I don't have a desire to rewatch it. I was thinking about putting this in the other day to just check the picture quality, and even that, I was like, save it for a rainy day. Shawshank Redemption. You know, it's one of my favorite movies ever made. That's what got me into film. You know, when I was 13 or 14, that's when I really realized, okay, I like this. I like 2-hour and 30-minute movies that are about the struggles of humans. The Green Mile, same sort of thing. This is even longer, I think, 2 hours and 40, 50 minutes. And I watch this every couple of years and cry every single time. The Black Swan. Black Swan, I think, is the only Darren Aronofsky movie that I currently own. But I've seen most of his movies, and I just love him as a director. I love all the endings to his movies. They're never usually that happy. And that's how a movie, in my opinion, should end. The 70s is where it peaked as a cinema, in my opinion. Same with the 90s. A lot of those movies, the endings are not very happy. You know, I love me a good 80s escapism, but... You know, like Silence of the Lambs. The ending's not happy. He escapes. He's gone. Sure, they caught Buffalo Bill, but fucking Hannibal is gone. So, you know, it's all happy and all that you got the one guy, but it's not really a happy end. Primal Fear, prime example. 1990s, yeah, you find out in the last 5 minutes he was conning you the entire movie. Spoiler! Oh, Gran Torino. This feels like a 90s movie, or maybe even a 70s movie. This is just, yeah, get off my lawn, zip bread. Fight Club. We don't talk about Fight Club. You know, this has kind of got a happy ending, I guess. For a 1990s movie, this is about as happy as an ending gets, where buildings blow up and I'm sure lots of people die, but our main character figures out, you know, his life, so that's happy. 310 to Yuma. Fantastic Western. Argo. Yeah, it's not my favorite Ben Affleck movie, but I could definitely understand why it won a bunch of awards. The Town. Basically the better Point Break remake than the actual Point Break remake. Gone Baby Gone. I'm gonna have to rewatch this again. I remember it. It's just there's certain things that I want to see this for a second time to make sure. But I wasn't too crazy about it. I liked it, but there was a lot of things I had problems with in the movie. Morgan Freeman was good though. Warrior, Nick Nolte steals the show. American History X. This is a good movie to show everybody about just racism and all that jazz. Full Metal Jacket has the best 30 opening minutes of a movie, 40 minutes, and then the last hour is just you don't even have to watch it. It's not the same movie. Tombstone, one of my favorite westerns. I've heard a lot of people say this is overrated recently. I don't know how. I truly don't. Val Kilmer gives one of the best performances ever, in my opinion. Interstellar. I don't like Interstellar. I'll be totally honest with you. Sure, I'm gonna get plenty of hate for that, but Inception, probably my favorite Christopher Nolan movie. Either that or The Prestige. I saw this in high school in film class when I was about 15, 16, and this was one of those other movies that were like, oh my goodness, I love movies, and this is didn't know movies could get that good when I was that young. Usual Suspects. I just watched this for the first time in its entirety about a month ago, and instantly bought it, because it's like, you know what? Yes, I want to be Kaiser Soze. Ex Machina. So, funny story. Not so funny to people who aren't my friend, but they don't get it. So pretty much everybody watching this. I have a friend named Caleb and Nathan when I was in elementary school, so to me it has another level of humor to it. So you've got a lot of underlying comedy in this movie already. I don't think it's even supposed to be funny, but it's like a dark comedy in my mind. I need help. I'm gonna go live in Pandora. Avatar. Not a big fan of Avatar. I love James Cameron, though. Titanic. Maybe my favorite movie ever. It's in my top 5. The Revenant. I don't know how this is the movie he won his Oscar for. I don't get it. Make it make sense, Hollywood. Blood Diamond. That's for breaking my TV. Brew. Love Blood Diamond. Wolf of Wall Street. Yes. I could watch this any day, any week, any year. I've seen this probably 1,000 times. So I'm going to grab a few more here and excuse me for a second. You just heard a bunch of them fall, because why wouldn't they? So let's continue. We've got the first and second Fast and Furious. Yeah. That's all needs to be said about that. We've got Two Towers and Lord of the Rings. I don't know where the third one is, Return of the King, somewhere. But yeah, that's the extended for the second one. I just haven't been able to find the extended of the first one. Still sealed, as you can see. Do love it, though. Don't get me wrong. White House Down. This is the definition of a guilty pleasure. Not good at all, but I just love watching Channing Tatum protect Jamie Foxx. That sounds really fucked up, but Fate of the Furious, oh my goodness, terrible. Furious 7 is the last decent Fast and Furious. Series died with Paul Walker, in my opinion. Fast 6, Steelbook. Fast 5 and 6. Fast and Furious are the fourth one. Tokyo Drift, maybe my favorite of the entire franchise. Definitely my favorite to rewatch. Yeah. Oh, where's Eleanor? Gone in 60 Seconds. Patriot Games. It's not a bad action movie. Clear and Present Danger. I need to get through this whole movie. Every time I get about halfway through, I either fall asleep or just switch to something better. It's not that the movie's bad. It's just it went from 14A to PG-13. This might even be PG. And you can just tell the drop off. First one, there's a lot of action and killing, and this movie is just a lot more tame. So it's, they changed it for the worse. Cinderella Man, damaged as shit. I don't know what happened to this case. I bought this brand new, and it does not look brand new, but I own it. It's a good movie about the Great Depression. John Wick. I don't like John Wick. Ready Player One. Day After Tomorrow, Independence Day, and I, Robot. I love Independence Day as like a guilty action movie that's not very great or anything. I, Robot, it's another same. I love the highway chase scene. It's really good. And Day After Tomorrow is just straight up not good. I don't care. Return of the King. Yeah, it's probably my second favorite Lord of the Rings movie. The first one's my favorite. But I hate Eowyn. I really do. Twister. This is a classic 1990s action. Another movie that Philip Seymour Hoffman just steals the show in, because why wouldn't he? Hey there, Marky Mark, Italian Job. Yeah. It's good stuff. This one, Jason Statham still kind of had hair, and Seth Green still had a career in Hollywood. Young Guns. Does anything need to be said about this? Anything with Billy the Kid and anything with Emilio Estevez, give it to me. Top Gun. More like Top Fun. I've still yet to really get into the sequel, but this one, it holds a special place in my heart. I don't know what the hell happened in my Risky Business case, but yeah. I love me some Risky Business. You can see Rebecca De Mornay right there. Rain Man is another movie. Yeah, I got a Wapner. 10 minutes to Wapner. I want to bring him with me to the casino and win lots of money. And he'll read the phone book and scare the girl when we go out for dinner. Dirty Dancing. I'm not ashamed. I am not ashamed. I like this movie. Moneyball with Brad Pitt. This is another one that I expected nothing. I remember trying to get my dad to watch this with me. He's like, you don't like baseball. It's like, do you have to like the sport to watch a movie? And I do like baseball, so it just tells you. Pain and Gain. I gotta get a bump. This is, I expected nothing from this. And I mainly watch this because a lot of YouTubers that I watch and trust, their opinions say that this is like a funny, guilty pleasure. And I agree. Like, The Rock is hilarious in this movie. And this is maybe my favorite Dwayne Johnson performance. He's actually acting in this. Unless he actually did coke, and wouldn't shock me. The Good and the Bad and the Ugly. Yeah. He's gonna keep doing that. Yeah. It's a classic Western. It's a must-own, in my opinion. At The Fugitive. God, I'm throwing movies at myself. The Fugitive and U.S. Marshals. I like The Fugitive a lot more than U.S. Marshals. But you know what? Robert Downey Jr. is pretty good in this movie. I'm not going to spoil anything, but, he plays a villain pretty well. Spoiler! We've got Taken, and I refuse to own any of the other ones. And, End of Watch. I expected pretty much nothing with this, and I was so shocked at how good it was. So, yeah, if you haven't seen End of Watch, you better go check that shit out. I'm going to grab some more movies. Alright, so this is the last leg. I have about 3 piles left. And, it's about time, because my back hurts, and I feel like I've been talking for 4 hours, so let's just get into this. Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and War of the Planet of the Apes. Yeah, the reboots are better than any of the originals, except for the one from 1968. Still the best Planet of the Apes movie. But don't own it. Gonna get there eventually. The Island. Man, this movie is so fucking great. Michael Bay gets such a bad reputation, but he's got some great movies in there. And this is one of them. The concept is it's so freaky. Yeah, winners go home and fuck the prom queen. Carla was the prom queen. Ed Harris is unhinged in this movie. This is basically, I've always said this is a James Bond movie without James Bond in it. I want those fires. I just can't help myself with these movies. They all have such good content to impersonate. Face Off's great. John Woo, fucking classic. This is, it's as good as it's gonna get action-wise from the 1990s. Matrix 2 and 3. Pretty bad sequels right there. The first one, the first Matrix, holds up extremely well. I can watch this all the time. Love me some Matrix. Speed. Yeah, this is another movie. Keanu Reeves is great. Dennis Hopper's great in it. Point Break, possibly my favorite action movie ever. Possibly. The name's Dalton. I expect you to be bigger. Imagine paying somebody that much a night to bounce for you. Mad Max Collection. I like basically one Mad Max movie, so owning all of them is kind of pointless, but yeah, I like the second one, Road Warrior. The rest of them are kind of just not my thing. Especially Fury Road, hate it. But, you know, good for you people that seem to all enjoy it. Good for you. Because you're getting more of it with Furiosa. I hope you're all excited. Lethal Weapon Collection. This is all 4 of them. Love Lethal Weapon 1 and 2 in particular. Die Hard 1 to 4. I absolutely refuse to own the 5th one, so I got this because it limited me. It's like, yep, I'm not going to go out and buy the 5th one by itself, so this is all I'm going to own. First 4. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Copland. I'm going to blow out my one ear so I can act like Stallone in this movie and gain about 70 pounds, and then rename myself Freddy. And there you go. Oh, we're having my Stallone section, my Stallone portion of the Demolition Man, and Wesley Snipes again is just awesome in this movie. So, like I said before, you know, you're having a bad day, put on a Wesley Snipes movie. White Men Can't Jump is also part of that. I need to get that too. Stallone and Rambo. I don't know. I've stopped saying Stallone. This is the 5th one. Rambo 4. Between this or the first one, they're my favorite, and he directed this one, so he knows how to make a good 4th movie in his own franchises. Rambo 3, the worst Rambo. Actually, no, the 5th one would be, and the 3rd one would be the 2nd worst. Rambo First Blood Part 2. James Cameron helped write this, and you would never know, honestly. It does not feel at all like James Cameron had any input in that at all. The first Rambo, one of the best, 1980s movies of all time. Rocky, all 6? Yeah, it's all 6 of them. I love Rocky. Rocky 4 is my favorite. It probably always will be. Nobody will change my mind there, even though it's not, incredible or anything. Terminator's Genesis, so this is the 5th one. Love. I don't know why I own it. Terminator Salvation. I know why I own this. Because if you're listening to this, you're the Resistance. Terminator 3. Yeah. I remember whenever I was sick as a kid, I'd put this on. I remember one time vividly having a fever, like an intense one, and having a dream about this movie. So I have like a deep connection to it, but it's not good. It's Terminator 2 with a female robot instead of a male, so they just gender swap. Terminator 2, best action movie. It's this or Point Break or Total Recall I'd throw in there. Terminator 1984. I really like this cover. There's the other cover that I just don't like, and this one looks way more correct and proper. And it's a damn good horror movie, action thriller. Last Action Hero. Gotta check this out if you haven't seen it. The Running Man is another Arnold 80s crazy action movie that it's so bad, but it's bad in the best way possible. Sub-Zero, you're now Plane Zero. Stuff like that. Commando, I don't really know how to feel about Commando. It depends on my mood. Some days I absolutely love it. Others I can't even get through it. Starship Troopers. Paul Verhoeven had 3 movies, all science fiction in a way. I'd even throw RoboCop into that science fiction-y action. He had 3 where they're all good. And they're all coming up back to back to back. Total Recall, which I think is Arnold's best performance. I love Arnold in a lot of stuff, but he comes across a lot more natural in that than most. And RoboCop, which, my name's Murphy and I eat baby food. We got Mummy 2 and 3. The first one's probably in this pile over here. Let's grab these. This is the last pile. So let's get this stuff going. We've got the Harry Potter 8-film collection here. I glossed over that pretty quick for 8 movies, but I'm not a big fan of Harry Potter anymore. I kind of grew out of it as I got older. That's bothering me. I'm gonna have to move that up a little bit so there we go. So that's Blade Runner, the first one. The only good Blade Runner in my opinion. Back to the Future trilogy, my favorite trilogy ever made. The Fighter, still haven't seen it. That's one of those new ones that I bought. Unforgiven, Unforgiven's right here. And that is Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, 2 movies that I still need to watch. Bought them and haven't seen them. 2001, haven't seen it. These are I lined up these movies that I haven't seen. Warriors, haven't seen it. So now we're back to movies I have seen. The Mummy, put that along with the other 2. My favorite James Bond movie, License to Kill. I fucking love this movie. Not only as a James Bond movie, but as an action movie. This is fucking awesome. Like, this, straight up. It doesn't get better than License to Kill. Skyfall, it's forgettable. Like, Skyfall, I'm sorry, for me personally, I just don't care about Daniel Craig as James Bond. He's just very forgettable, and same with Casino Royale. You put Timothy Dalton in this movie, or you put Pierce Brosnan, I instantly care more. Bourne Ultimatum, Bourne Supremacy, and The Bourne Identity, which is easily my favorite. Not a big fan of the sequels, but Bad Boys 1 and 2. As you can see, I own most of Michael Bay's movies. There's older ones anyways. So we're on to the last few movies here now, so I'm going to kind of savor the flavor for these last few. We've got Jurassic Park 1, classic, one of the best blockbusters ever made. Maybe the best blockbuster in terms of popcorn action. The Lost World, I can't even sit through it, I'll be honest. I've seen it 5-6 times, and it's enough for me. I don't really need to rewatch it. Jurassic Park 3, it's a really good Friday night, if you're eating food, movie to put on. It's one of those. The Indiana Jones Collection. It just makes me feel better about my life and everything that I'm doing in my life, because these movies, they're my childhood, especially the first 3. It's not that I don't care about Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but I don't care about Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. The original trilogy, this is the last release that George Lucas made before Disney bought the rights and got their fingers all over this. I'm pretty sure you don't see Disney's trademark on it. So this was the last one of George Lucas. And prequels, I like Revenge of the Sith, but the other 2 are just kind of not worth talking about. So it's Lord of the Rings again, but this is the full trilogy box set. So I own them separately and I own them together. These are just the theatrical though. And the last movie, it could have been anything, and it's Tron Legacy. Fun visual movie that has some pretty bad writing, but you know what? It's worth watching for the visuals alone. So that is it. We got through the Blu-ray collection. That felt like it was a 6-hour video, but it's not. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, I will do this again in a year or 2 when things are updated, and I will add all those other movies over there that I didn't even talk about because they're so bad. But yes, thank you for watching, and I will see you another time.